Hello, this is Pixie Land, and yeah, there's a couple of things to talk about. I had a quite a strange experience. Whereby I was going to water some plants. I've got some medicinal plants, and basically I was going to water them, and I noticed some soil was missing. I thought, why would something take some soil out of a pot? No, San Pedro cactus pot, you know. I know with you get compression with water, so if you put like compression in soil, if you put water on it, it sort of shrinks inwards and the air goes out when it compacts a bit. But it definitely looked like someone had actually scooped a little chunk out of it. Like this with another pot as well, or something. It equally had happened, similar. It doesn't really have a massive root structure, to be honest. At the moment, it's fairly small. So I thought it was very strange that this chunk of soil had gone missing. And then that happened sort of early on, so I didn't worry too much about it. And I got some of these like cannabis seeds, like tropical cannabis, and all these some other little bits. I was just going to do an experiment. That was my purpose. I mean, I don't smoke stuff like that. I just tend to eat it if I'm going to have it. For tea or whatever. I'm going to experiment by adding vitamin C into it and all sorts, just to make it more interesting. Yeah, so basically I planted some, so some of them had started growing. These others in the pot didn't. I thought, well, maybe I'll put them in too deep. And I was basically I got these other pots, the pots that wasn't growing. I thought, well, maybe I'll find the seed, and then maybe another way I can germinate it. And I went through. There was like how many pots I had? About 3 pots. And I went through them, and I could not find the cannabis seeds. So I thought, okay, that's strange. I can't find a little seed. I expect to see something in there. I mean, yeah, it's hard to see them. So what I've done is because they weren't growing, I used another little batch of them I had. Seeds, and I put them into test tubes with a little bit of sort of earth at the bottom of these plastic test tubes, a bit of water, and I can actually see them growing. And then I've used water to remove them. So I just put a little water in, and then basically just sort of put my thumb on top of the end of it, turn it upside down, and let the water sort of drain, pull the soil away from the root structure, and then the thing comes loose. And when it's loose, I just transplant it to a hole in the pot. So I'd done that into these other pots. I put some soil. I sort of took a chunk of the soil I went through and sipped through. So a majority of it I used. I put into more of a flatter dish, and the purpose of that is so then I can basically grow something in there, and if there is anything still left in there, you know, that I didn't see, maybe it'll grow up and I can actually harvest that. So that was what I did with that, and then I noticed something else as well. I was thinking about doing this, I started this experiment. It's like a giant egg I've created, egg creation or something. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with it. It might be the body of a doll, or I might just make a giant egg. I don't even know why I'd want a giant egg in there, but maybe it's quite a spiritual symbol to have. Yes, and there was something else I was watching on the Sun and Moon channel that's on YouTube with helpers have been is Bro, Sanchez, and Santos. You've got Santos Bonacci. Yeah, so there's interesting stuff on there, and they were talking about the cross and the shape of the cross. So I looked at the shape of the cross. You know, is it a symbol of death, or what is the symbol? And to be honest, the cross they use isn't something completely different, because it's difficult to shove someone up on a cross like that. The Romans execute people on X's because it has a better sort of stationary point. I mean, you have to stick somebody up on a blooming totem pole or something to have them on a kind of cross like that, and it's just quite laborious. I mean, not unless it's possibly it was already the symbol of Christianity, and then someone said, "I'll tell you what, we can rub it in their face. I'm going to shove them on their own symbol and kill this some chap." And I'd say when it comes back to this, Jesus is not really a one-person thing deal. It's everyone really. It's all of us. It's like I am Negan sort of thing, and it's that kind of. You're in the club. You're in the consciousness. So yeah, so I was looking at a baby skull, as you do on YouTube, and on YouTube, on Google, and I noticed there was a cross basically where your skull plates are, and it's not even cross anyway. It's because it's longer at the front, it's longer at the back. And that baby skull, I was thinking it. No, it's actually, yeah, it goes longer at the back, because you've got two shorter plates at the front of your head, and longer at the back, and then you've got the fontanelle that kind of acts as this, maybe the rows of consciousness between the two parallels. It's divided into four. I think the heart's got a similar pattern like that. It's got two chambers that are bigger. Than the other chambers. So it's like you've got two subtle chambers and two major, or whatever, however you want to see it as. So yeah, going back to the egg, I mean the egg shape, you can fit a type of cross like that inside it as well. And the baby skull did look like a bit like an egg anyway. And that kind of structure of it being quite sort of round and sort of like, you know, this sort of shape to it. So yeah. His leg, that chap, so I don't want to rush across blast it across the road. So yeah, that's basically that kind of shape, but that sort of shape, drip shape, fits in different places as well. And like the classic is the water drop. So these things are in nature anyway. People talk about circles and squares, but they forget something like an oval. So that's so yeah, I just think about the shape of the cross. I've gone slightly off the thing. So yeah, so I'm making this type of orgon egg, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the actual structure of it. It just come about as using a pine cone. And then I wrapped it up in, I first wrapped some iron wool stuff around it. Just got a scrubbing pad, just pulled it apart and wrapped it around it. And then I put a solenoid around it, so I'd wrapped a coil of copper wire. Then I wrapped on top of that a steel wire. Then I put a layer of like a modelling type clay on top of it, and then I tried to put wire wool and another solenoid around it. It didn't quite work as well as I thought, because it became very smooth, the egg, so I didn't really want another thing wrapped around it. So I've done it anyway, and then the clay's thinly put across, and I've got two little slits, so I've got to buy some more clay, I might shove a crystal inside it, because it's primed for that now. Originally I was going to make it like a pyramid, you know, I was going to make a clay type pyramid. I still could, to be honest. I don't know if it'd be so attractive though, so I'd have to get more resin, more clay and everything. But it has got a strange feeling about it, very comforting. Yeah, looking at the giant egg, it makes you feel quite comforted. But as I was getting these crystals to sort of plod around with some of my design work, I thought, oh yeah, because I've already got an orgone pyramid, so I've got this pyramid with a jam jar in it, I call it the vault. So yeah, that's copyrighted the vault structure of a pyramid. No, I wouldn't mind anyone using my design, it's just, I created it. Anyway, so I pulled out these Lemurian crystals that were in a little food bag inside this jam jar that's shoved inside a pyramid, and I went for, oh, where's my multivite? And I couldn't find the multivite crystal. It's disappeared. So basically, I've been robbed of cannabis seeds, soil, and moldavite. I'm wondering what sort of what the Grey's up to, or whatever interdimensional has popped in and robbed me of these items. The soil I did sterilise the soil. Maybe that was a bad mistake. You know, like you sterilise your food with a microwave. I used that on soil, and that was so the seedling would have a better chance of survival and growing and not get rotten and stuff. But equally, there's probably good bacteria in it that it needs. So killing everything in there might be a bad mistake. It's like killing all your gut bacteria. Yeah, so that's not what I do. So it's very strange. I just have to see what happens. I'm still growing some more stuff, and I'll just experiment with it. The San Pedro, I'm in the UK with tropical canvas. I had to create another coil structure to support it because the neck stretches on it, and I'm not going to stick bloody heat lamps and do stupid things like that. Because I don't really care about. I'm not trying to make money out of it. I just try to look for spiritual and health benefits of it, because I've heard there's a lot of health benefits in it. And yeah, I think definitely for any personality type things. If somebody's bipolar or something like that, I noticed that my character, when I ate a little bit of it, my character changed for a while. It was a bit more serious, so it wasn't a bad thing. I mean, I could still have a laugh. I just felt a little bit different myself. So that might have helped buff or something. But you have to be careful, because it might have some other psychoactive qualities that might make you a bit sensitive in other ways. So yeah, that's quite strange. I mean, last night I saw some. I think they're orbs, to be honest. That's what they might be. I mean, I see some massive, tall, grey things that have been basically wandering around in my property. You just see these glances of these things. I mean, I'm looking over my glasses as well. So it's not like my smeary glasses have caught something. And there's nothing in the room that can create a shadow. So you see these like shadows, I think, a lot taller than me. And I think, bloody hell, his head's slightly bent down as it's going. So it must be a good 7 foot. 7 foot grey. It's just, you know, something different. Usually they're small, so they've got some massive ones, which means it's another group. Another group's visiting me. We're doing some research. I put my egg thing on the table, and there's something, this bloody grey thing walked over towards it. And I just thought it's like, it walked through the table, to be honest. And I just saw the shadow for it. I've noticed that the actual wire I used, the steel wire, has already rusted, so it's very bizarre. So I've got this iron oxide in it as well. It's pretty cool. And then last night when I go to bed, I started to see little flashes in front of my eyes. So something's like, you know, like something's poking me in the head, poking me in the spirit maybe, I don't know. It's very crazy, because you see little flashes and dark things in the room. Your eyes are closed, and you just kind of, I mean, it's some of it is your photonic sensitivity and stuff like that, because your eyes adjust to less light and stuff like that. I've got my eyes closed though, but I can still see things that look like figures moving around, and it's just very strange. I mean, I don't understand what's going on. All I can say is that something exists beyond the sensory perception what we have, and that's why science and so on can be flawed, because it cannot measure the quantum effectively. It's trying to, smashing up, trying to create particles. You're just creating fragments and saying, oh yeah, that's a new particle. See, there is something solid in the middle. They say, no, there isn't actually. It's just, all you're looking at is energy and force fields and things like that. There's nothing that's kind of finite there. So it's very interesting stuff. Is there anything else to share? Probably not. That's probably the most odd thing slightly. Things going missing in my flat. I mean, hopefully the Moldavite turns up. I've heard this stuff can disappear anyway. Just underestimate the abilities of my interdimensional friends, and is there a point in buying some more if you're just going to vanish? Anyway, it's been sign off. Have a great one.